Well, I'm sure once you saw the bracket, and Coach Bowles' probably first question was, okay, how do you stop these guys? What do you remember from the game that you saw last year down there?
Really good football team. I think people look at the Patriot League as not one of the upper echelon leagues, and it is. They're doing things in the Patriot League, blowing a lot of people out, really putting a lot of points up on the board. I remember playing them last year, thinking, hoping not to face that quarterback again. That kid was an extremely good football player, and the wide receivers were athletic, and I just remember watching it from afar as well. Defensively, they really got after the offense at UNI, and it was we walked off there and said, that's a good football team. And they've kind of earned their respect, I think, from a lot of people now, in the fact that they went 10-1 in the regular season this year. They won their league pretty handily. I'm very familiar with New Hampshire because Northern Iowa played New Hampshire 3 times when I was there, and they took New Hampshire to overtime, and New Hampshire is a dynamite football team in that Colonial Athletic Conference, and then they take the winner of that league and beat them at their place. So this is a legit football team.
What do they compare to the most in your time at Northern Iowa or even here? Who do they resemble that's most familiar with you, if anybody?
To me, probably New Hampshire in the days when they had Ricky Santos playing quarterback. Kid that was a Player of the Year, Walter Payton Award winner at New Hampshire, and this quarterback kind of does a lot of the same things. He makes plays. He gets himself out of problems. He knows where the weaknesses of defenses are. I think they're a tremendously coached football team because, if you've had a weakness in something, they're going to find a way to attack that. And that's what you watch them on film. Doesn't matter who they play against, and they're putting up 350 yards passing, and they're getting 40 points, and they're moving the football against everybody. And Towson's a very good football team, and very good defense, and they moved up and down the field on those guys at will.
Coach, it seems like when I watched these guys on film this morning, when I was watching some stuff for them, not only if you look past the numbers, but it really seems like Lum and these 2 receivers are really on the same page, the chemistry between him and Spadola and Kelly.
Yeah, and they've played together for an awful long time. Those kids are junior and senior respectively, and the quarterback's a senior, so they've had a lot of snaps together. You can tell they've worked in the offseason together. They are on the same page, and between the two of them, they've got almost 3,000 yards and 180 catches. That just doesn't happen. You've got to put a lot of time and effort into that, and those 2 kids are dynamite receivers. We'll have our hands full.
Have they changed much since you played them last year?
Ran the ball maybe a little bit more last year. I know they had a running back nicked up this year, and maybe that's led them to throw the football even a little bit more. But I think if you're their coach, let's put the game into our best players' hands, and that's what they're doing, is putting it into Lum's hands, and he wants it in his hands, and especially in critical times. And you look at that last drive, they threw the ball a few times, needing to keep the ball, keep possession, and keep Towson away from it, and they said, okay, throw it, make some plays, and he did.
What does your secondary have to do to try to slow this down then, Chris?
Well, I think it's the whole football team that's got to try to slow them down. We've got to be very disciplined in the back end. We've got to get a tremendous pass rush. We've got to do a good job underneath zones and stuff with our linebackers and safeties. Everybody's got to be on the same page. It's going to take a total team effort. We've got to play an excellent football game to get the win. But it's the last 8 teams, guys. Everybody, you better have your A game or you're going to get knocked off.
This is a game you're hoping for Marcus to have a bounce back performance after what he was considered a mortal game last week against James Madison?
I think we all know Marcus Williams will be fine. He's, in my opinion, the best player in the conference and one of the top players in the nation. And I don't worry at all about Marcus Williams.
When you see this quarterback, Coach, is there one thing that you can say, okay, this didn't work at Northern Iowa, but maybe we have we have the right players to attack this quarterback here this year?
Not necessarily. I think it comes down to his playmaking ability against our kids' ability to make plays and our kids' ability to understand their scheme and the pass rush. And, the crowd will play a big factor in that too, hoping that we can try to get them off schedule a little bit with the crowd noise. And those things, I think, will be difficult for those guys to handle. And they'll prep it and they'll be ready for it. And I think it's going to be a heck of a football game.
How about that matchup of Spadola versus Williams? I mean, you've got 2 guys there that maybe either one of them hasn't faced their opposite side as good as each other this year.
Yeah, it'll be a good matchup. You know, we'll put Marcus in different places, you know, all the time like we have all season. You know, he'll cover him sometimes. He'll cover a different guy sometimes. We'll move him around just like we have the entire year. But, you know, when Marcus is matched up with him, I look forward to a heck of a matchup.